welcome to episode 19 of the Young Nations podcast, Through Deep Waters, where it's the podcast for the young nations, and the young nations have their podcast. Today we have a very special guest.
Okay, before the special guest, before everything,
sniper.
Why do you look like this? What's wrong? What's the issue?
Guys,
Cheap sunglasses.
I'm gonna be real.
I spent 20 minutes doing this.
I'm going to be real with you guys for a second.
Just
Look,
separate it from the mic. It's stuck.
last weekend,
Okay.
I got involved in this, look, I don't want to say it was some sort of RICO gone wrong, right? It wasn't, it didn't go the way I planned it. People caught on, and my face is out there now, so we need to stay covered. No, I'm actually just sick. I'm really sick, and my eyes are very sensitive, and I'm like shivering, even though it's warm.
Tested negative for COVID before.
I tested negative for
I hope
COVID,
so.
I've just been coughing on them like all day. But no, okay, let me tell you guys about my day,
Okay.
or my last couple of days, to be direct. So, I've been going from job to job nonstop. I have 2 jobs now. I'm officially, alhamdulillah, officially employed at the boxing gym.
Hey, clap up, bro.
In the sense that I've signed my contract, but I'm not a coach just yet. I have to go through like another week of training or so, or whatever the case may be. Anyways, I've been putting in a lot of hours there. I've also been putting in a lot of hours at my other job, turnkey, and I've also been putting in a lot of hours with the family because unfortunately my dad and my little brother are traveling soon. So my hours of sleep have been low, my energy has been low. I've not been having much free time, and
He's
I
gotta
caught this
make the
cold.
most of it, I guess. Yeah.
100%. I don't regret anything, but I caught this cold now. And bro, like, I was coming up the stairs earlier. I went to get water for my dad. I was coming up the stairs earlier, and I was like,
Yeah, you're shivering.
I was shivering
Yeah,
in the
fever.
supermarket and everything. But listen, man, Tylenol, Allah put some magic in there, bro. I feel so much better. Like, I'm still not 100, but like, I feel so much better. Anyways, moving on. No one
Moving
cares.
on swiftly. Okay.
Today, we have a very special guest.
Special guest.
Someone we've been trying to get on for a long time. Please introduce yourself.
Who you are? Who
Who you are?
My name?
Who you are,
Yeah,
man?
Who are you?
Yeah, my name is Ernest Mwesigye, aka the Sniper. I come from Kampala, Uganda.
Okay.
I go to UW.
Yeah.
University of Waterloo.
Recent
University of
graduate,
Waterloo.
by the way. Him and
Recent
Zaid also graduated in the same week. Alhamdulillah. Congratulations. Now he's studying postgraduate. What are you doing in postgrad?
Postgrad. I'm going to be doing grad school this September at UW as well.
What's your major?
In grad school,
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing business, entrepreneurship, and tech.
Okay.
Interesting.
So I'll be doing that at UW as well. Yeah, what else do you know?
No, that's good. That's good. It's an introduction.
So,
you know?
Ernest, here's the thing. We've been wanting Ernest on for a very long time.
Look, let me break this down. So ever since the first day, I think Ernest, you were the first person I met in university when I came to Canada.
Yeah, that's how
we were
we
the
met.
first people we had met.
Yeah.
Since that first day, it didn't even take a day. Since that first day, we have started an argument that has never ended.
Which argument?
Not a specific one, but we
Yeah.
just argue. Every
You
time I
should
see you,
no,
there's the argument.
The
And
way that they bicker. We'll delve into some of them because they fit very well
Okay,
into our
yeah.
topic of today. We're going to be discussing ego. And we all have our different opinions on ego. I'm very excited today because me and Zaid have conflicting opinions for the first time in a long time. Zaid is very anti-ego and I'm quite pro-ego. If
Yeah.
it is
Pro-ego.
used correctly, it can be a very useful tool and characteristic. Ernest, what do you think?
I agree 100%. I think I have a healthy ego.
okay.
You know, I'm very self-critical of myself. I know my strengths and my weaknesses, and I'm honest.
pass me
I'm
this
honest
cap.
about them.
Yeah, please, bring us this cap.
I want this cap.
Put it on
Who?
his head.
For me?
Put it on his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't start this.
That's
Yeah.
cap, man. That's cap.
Top losers on here too.
And this is Mushmush. Welcome,
is there.
Mushmush.
My tag team later in the
No,
episode.
no,
but
no.
we're
We'll
gonna
talk
say
about
that.
we'll talk about how you think my ego isn't healthy.
Okay.
Okay.
How about this?
I
We'll
think I have a very
hold on,
healthy
before
ego.
that, before you anything, we'll put this cap down here so that anybody leave it. Anybody who we think is capping, we put it on.
We give them the cap. All
We
right.
give them the even just to hold it.
Let
or
me
whatever.
let me tell you guys something. Everything I spit today is going to be complete 100% facts.
Okay, we're gonna see.
My
about
opinions
that.
will be opinions, but things that I mention will be facts. Can I please begin in my opinion on
Okay,
this
hold
topic?
on. Let's introduce. So we said the ego. Today's the discussion about the ego. We're gonna tackle a lot of different facets of it. I got some notes. We got some general discussion that we're gonna see how it's gonna go. Before we continue, like, comment, subscribe, review, do all that. Tell a friend to listen to Through Deep Waters, and just wanted to get that social promo out the way.
Guys,
But
please. Please, we want the views, please.
No, bro. You tell me one YouTuber podcaster that doesn't promote. That
I'm
starts
promoting, please.
Yeah,
please.
everyone promotes.
there, right?
Anyways.
But no, we appreciate it still. But regardless, anyway.
So wait,
So-
before we continue,
Okay.
you guys call me here.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to help me with my ego? You think I have a big ego and you want to,
It's
you
not
want to
that
give
I
me
think.
advice?
It's not that I think you have a big ego. It's
Okay.
that I think we have butted heads, and the issues have differed. So
Okay.
we've always argued about different issues.
Because
me
I'm
and you.
right and you're wrong.
There we go. Okay, so audience, you tell us what that was. Was
Okay.
that
No,
the
yeah,
ego
but-
or
So
was that
as an
not the ego?
outsider of
Okay.
this friendship, let me give
Okay.
my perspective. I'm gonna mention a couple of examples here and there. Mushmush will make a guest appearance when I call him. He's very excited. Anyways, Ernest. Okay, so Ernest and Zaid. This is a very, very, very big, very long, never-ending argument. Although it ended today, I know it's gonna be rehashed again and reopened as soon as my dad leaves. Let me explain.
No, it's okay. I closed it. I admit I swallowed
You
my
admitted
pride.
after what? After 6 months?
Okay.
So who was the ego
No.
here?
Context. Zaid and Ernest are both fans of jiu-jitsu. They both wanted to start jiu-jitsu. Was this before or after you
This
guys
before,
started?
before.
Before they started, they decided to have a little spar. In this spar, I don't know, Zaid, it's your decision if you'd like to put the video, the clip on screen.
We're not gonna put the clip on screen.
Tell the story and be
You know?
truthful. Tell the story
We'll
and be
tell the
truthful.
story. We'll
All
tell
right.
the story. But like you guys
Anyways.
can call me if it's cap or facts.
All right,
You guys
anyways.
can call me.
So, we, so they get to sparring and I'm recording. I'm also like, moderating and making sure that no one gets hurt. Bear in mind, it's not like on a mattress or anything. They're doing it on like the concrete floor. And Ernest gets Zaid in a headlock. If I'm
No,
not
you didn't
mistaken.
lead up to
Relax.
it. Look,
relax.
relax.
Let him finish. Let him
Look,
finish.
they're sparring. Okay,
Your
they're
ego
sparring.
is
It's a pretty
getting in
even
the way.
spar. It's
It's
a
not
pretty
even
even
so.
spar.
I picked up the man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And as soon as you picked him up,
Picked
you
him
were
up
put
like
in a
a
headlock.
princess.
Like a princess, and then like
This
like
the guy
a
with the
dog,
ego
he put
here.
you in a headlock.
Exactly.
Right? Like a dog,
Like
he
a
put you in a
dog, he put
headlock.
you in a headlock.
I
When
had
have
to
you ever
stop
put
the
a dog
fight.
in a headlock? Are you crazy?
I had to stop the
No
fight.
comment.
You see this? I had to stop the fight. And you know, by like any martial art or any sport, if the referee stops the fight, it's a TKO. It's a technical
very
knockout.
much.
Therefore,
Thank you.
Zaid legally and technically got knocked out. Right? Not knocked out like out cold, but he was stopped, which is classified as a technical knockout. They were going back and forth because Zaid
For
is
6
like
months.
6 whole months, man. Today got squashed. Back and forth because Zaid is like, no, Hussein shouldn't have stopped the fight. I would have got out of it. He would not have got out of it. And if Zaid is man enough to put the video on screen, he'll show that he could not have gotten out of it.
Zaid wasn't breathing. He was going to pass out. And Hussein, his
He's
brother,
exaggerating
saved
a little
him.
bit. Okay, there's a
His
little
brother
exaggeration.
saved you.
No, that's
He
an
saved your
exaggeration.
life.
Okay.
And then
He
they're
saved your
like-
life.
Give your side. Hold on. Give your side.
No, here's my side.
Give your side.
This is why I think Zaid has an unhealthy ego.
Okay.
Okay.
Because if Zaid had a healthy ego, he'd sit back and be like, okay, Ernest beat me. What are my weaknesses? Look at them honestly.
Okay.
And be like, okay, let me work on these weaknesses and then have a rematch with Ernest.
Okay.
Maybe I won't win, but the fight will be much closer. You know what I mean?
Okay. So that's your side.
100%.
Okay, my side is like this.
Plus Hussein. Hussein told the
So
truth.
my side is like this. Okay. Just so everybody's
mindsets, man.
no. So everybody gets understands it. We sparred, whatever. Like we got into it a little bit, and then he put me in the headlock. In my mind, I'm not like that's why. In my mind, again, you stop the fight, whatever. But in my mind, I was like, okay, if I have a problem, I'll tap.
But that was your ego telling you that
No, hold
everyone
on.
outside could see that
So
you couldn't
did
breathe.
I interrupt you, brother?
But I'm telling
Did I
you the
interrupt
truth.
you? Okay.
Okay, Habibi.
Okay, Habibi, let me finish. So, I'm sorry. This is gonna be a crazy episode. I can't
Yeah,
even
no,
lie.
finish.
but-
We got so
Finish.
much more as well. We
But
got so
yeah,
much-
so
oh
so
my
so
God.
basically, let's finish the story real quick, okay? Basically, the idea was like we were sparring, we were going at it, and then I go like I don't have too much, like I wasn't looking for myself. I go to try to grab him or whatever, picked him up, and then he put me in the headlock. We came down, and then like I'm in the headlock. In my mind, I'm like, okay, this is not an issue. I'm still working, and I'm trying to twist this. He has this arm here like this. Like I don't think they can see it in the camera, but it's twisted like this,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to like wiggle it out. So I get it out,
Yeah. No,
And then-
you didn't get it out,
no, and
but
like
if you say so.
so I'm thinking like, okay, I'm working this arm and then I'm gonna get out. I have pale skin, okay? If my head gets pressured, it will become red, right? Like
Okay.
it just happens, right? So my head becomes red because Ernest has me in a headlock. I'm working to get out this headlock. I don't know, like I could or I couldn't get out. I didn't have a chance to finish. Hussein stopped the fight. Now in my mind, I'm like, okay, why the hell did you stop this wrestle? I'm trying to still do this thing. Then Ernest takes it and is like, oh, that's it, technical knockout, whatever.
That's exactly what a technical knockout
Right?
is.
So
'Cause
I was
Hussein the
adamant,
ref.
like in my mind, I was
Oh,
adamant.
just to clarify, I'm a qualified referee.
Exactly.
Was
Hussein
this
the
before or
ref.
after your qualification?
I didn't learn anything in my qualification. I just got the qualification.
Exactly.
But I
No,
learned
we
nothing from
chose
that.
the
I
same
knew
as the
everything
rest.
prior.
No, but answer the question. Was this before or after your qualification?
Huh, Baba? My dad's calling. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, answer the question.
No, it was before. It was
Okay,
before.
there you go. So, I told them, so we argued about it for a while because I still felt like, okay, why did you stop the fight? Why did you stop it? I was trying to continue. So I argued with you about it, right? Come to terms, whatever. Fine. Then, I told Ernest, I was like, listen, when my dad comes and we go ask him, if he says I lost, khalas, I'll take it and I'll say like I lost and whatever and I'll admit. I don't have too much about like pride about that to ignore the word of my dad. So we go ask my dad. My dad said, okay, Zayd, I'm sorry, like the fight got stopped and as a result, technically, like you lost. So I was like, okay, khalas, my dad.
Wait, hold on. Hold the cap.
Why?
Hold it. Hold it.
Why?
Because that's
Explain.
not how it went down. Zay was like, no, Baba, you don't know.
Yeah,
anyways,
so who was the
until
ego in
I
this
had
situation?
till I had to tell him, you are the one who said, if Baba says I'm wrong, then I will admit that I'm wrong.
And then
Only
as soon as you said that, what happened?
But you argued first.
Okay, but I gave
Why?
an
Ego.
an
Thank
argument
you,
is
thank
not
you.
a rebuttal. I
Unhealthy-
gave a
unhealthy
rebuttal.
ego.
I gave her. Baba said no. I was like, all right. You said you put in your
Okay.
input. I was like, all right.
Unhealthy
Okay,
ego.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Unhealthy.
Fair enough. Okay.
Take
Unhealthy
off the
ego.
cap.
Okay. So now that's the thing. After Baba said, "Khas, I don't have
After
no ego."
6 months.
That's fine. Yeah, it's okay. It was,
Another-
I gave my
another
word on something.
Pattern that shows ego from Ernest, as you can tell, if you guys just pay attention for the rest of this podcast, and if you rewind as well.
Yeah.
He when he wants himself to be right, he will repeat himself again and again and again.
Okay.
After 6
in
months.
this
After 6
situation,
months.
who
After
was
6
in
months.
this situation who was right?
You were right.
And that's what a healthy ego
But why
is.
can't
When you're
no.
right,
But here's my question.
you have to stick to
why
your
can't
point.
you be right?
Okay.
Why can't you be right and be humble? For example,
Okay.
because I'm so humble.
Yeah. Cap.
I might be the
Hold
most
that
humble.
cap. Yeah, hold that cap. Hold that cap. Hold
I
that
might
cap.
be the most humble person on this planet.
Hold that cap.
So
You know when an ego becomes unhealthy?
What?
It's when it makes you delusional.
No, but there's
yeah,
confidence.
100%.
There's a difference. There's
no,
confidence.
there is
Confidence
delusion.
comes from ego, though.
No,
There is
look.
delusion.
If you're confident about yourself, the
It comes
odds
from
can
having
be
an ego.
look. The odds can be stacked against you, right? Let's
Okay.
not let's not cap. A lot of times, how can you, if somebody wants to achieve something that had not been achieved before, or something that other people have doubted them from achieving, right? How do they achieve it? Is by believing in themselves, right? And going and doing it.
But there's a difference there.
Yeah, there's
See,
a difference.
like I'm gonna give you a boxer's perspective, right? If I'm sparring against someone who's way better than me, I'm not thinking, yeah, I'm gonna get in here and get beat up. Even though I know he's better than me, my perspective is I think I can beat the odds and win this fight. Not I think I'm better than this person.
Thank you.
Right?
No, but why?
If I'm
Why do you think like that?
listen, I think I'm sick. Put me in a ring, I think I'm amazing. You put me in with a 5-0 pro fighter who's over 200 pounds, I'll spar him, I'll compete, I'll want to win, and I think that I could. But I'm not gonna sit here and lie to anyone and say I'm better than this guy
Exactly.
when I've had no fights, right? That's just common sense. Ernest,
Okay.
what's your perspective on A, taming your ego,
Yeah.
and B, using it to your advantage, and C, how can you see that it can cause your downfall too?
No, it can cause your downfall if you're not honest about your weaknesses. But it can be healthy if you set like huge goals and you sit down and you're like, okay, these are my strengths. And you put your ego aside and say, these are my weaknesses. You have to be honest about your weaknesses. And then I'd say in that case, that's when it's healthy. You know, if you're honest about your weaknesses and honest about your strengths, then you can use your ego in a healthy way to achieve your goals. I think it's unhealthy when it makes you delusional. If you think you're better than you actually are, I think that's when it actually becomes unhealthy.
What about you, Zayd? What do you think?
I think in that way, I wouldn't call it ego. I would just call it confidence, because it's the same thing. Like, you kind of know the odds that are in front of you, right? So you know that it might be difficult for you to achieve a certain goal, or like chances are, probabilities are that you might not achieve that goal, right? But really, if you take on the challenge, right, you know it's the probabilities is against you, but you take on the challenge knowing that you're going to fight for the small chance, right? That's where confidence comes from for me. So for me, I don't even draw it from ego. So I'm not going to puff myself and be like, I don't have any weaknesses, because ego is like failure to acknowledge your own weakness, right? I would say, or like, that's more to do with your ego, right? I would acknowledge it, like Ernest said, just to be honest about myself. Oh, okay, I have a weakness in X, Y, Z. I can improve it like this. But I think that that confidence doesn't come from ego. And where ego can be like a downfall to you is ego a lot of the times can prevent you from seeing where you go wrong. So for example, I've seen this a lot. Somebody starts to say a business venture, right? You've started your own business now, congratulations, you've opened it up, but you're passionate about the product, but you weren't honest about yourself with the business plan, right? So you, for example, kind of know in your heart that the market for your product is not as big as you think it is, right? But you tell yourself that it is, or you find the selective statistics that show you that it is.
And you look for that little bit of luck
Yeah,
that's gonna
based
take
on that,
yeah.
and you just like puff up your ego, like, yeah, I can do this, I can achieve this, I can do this, and you refuse to look at everything because you feel like you're invincible, right? Because you're not being honest to yourself about your weaknesses, right? Or the weaknesses of your plan. In those scenarios, I would say that's where your ego gets involved. But where you come in, let's say, for example, and you say, I have a business plan, I'm honest about where my weaknesses in my market are. My market's not that big, but if I do X, Y, Z, I think I can expand my market, get more people interested in the product, and actually ship it out. I think in that situation, you see, you're actually still doing the same thing. You're still starting your business, but in that situation, you've changed your mindset to acknowledge your weaknesses and actually take steps to address them, right? And from there, you might have a better chance of being successful.
Oh, so you don't think there's anything good about ego? Okay.
I think ego is good for one thing. Ego, like, as human beings, we have it for a reason, right? As human beings, it was designed in us for survival, right?
Yeah.
So you need ego to be able to look at yourself and look out for yourself, and as like a very primal survival instinct. But I think as humans, we've evolved like socially to a point where ego is now becoming self-destructive because there's so much information, there's so much social media, there's so much of everything, like all type of like information coming to us. When we go online, we just see people posting nice things about where they are or what they're doing and stuff like that. Like somebody's on a beach somewhere in like the Caribbean, and somebody's, you know, in the jungle somewhere, somebody's in Europe, and you just see like people posting their highlights. So your primal response is to be like, yeah, I'm better than them, so I do this and that, I have these trips that I go to. That's your primal response. When really what all that does is it doesn't address why you're feeling insecure in that moment and why you're why you're feeling hurt that the other person's having enjoyment and you feel like it's at your expense when it's not true.
Counterpoint. I think ego is a very, very good and very underrated and very important characteristic. Why? Just because something is misused by the world, that does not mean that it is bad. Let me give you a few examples. Having an ego is having a healthy ego is knowing when to use it to drive you and knowing when to let it humble you. I'll give you an example. So
how do you let your ego humble you then?
I'll give you an example. In January, I went back to Dubai. I've been training in Waterloo and I've gotten a lot fitter. I was running and I was getting ready for a fight. I had a fight lined up. Unfortunately, I tore whatever. Anyway, and I was like, you know what? These guys have no idea. I'm coming back. I'm gonna kill some people. I come back with my old coach. He comes to watch a sparring session, as well as my best friend Ben. Shout out Ben. His coach, who's an ex Muay Thai champion. And that day, I may have had one of the worst performances of my life. I got destroyed. You know, maybe Zaid, I'll send you a little clip and you can put it on the screen. I got demolished. And after I lost, it wasn't only that I just lost, or like, obviously in spars there's no winners or losers, but when you lose, you know you lost, right? Mm-hmm. After I lost, like the coach that I'm not very close to comes to me, breaks me down, tells me, look, everything you've done is wrong. Your stance is wrong. Your movement is wrong. Your punch is wrong. You're not bringing the power from your legs. You're just moving your hands. You're blah, blah, blah. Things that a beginner should have down, right? So you sit, you reevaluate. You're like, okay, maybe I'm not as sick as I thought I was. Maybe I'm just okay, right? Mm-hmm. But does that mean that you sit and you accept the fact that you're just okay? No. This is where your ego comes in. You've been humbled. You thought you were sick. You got put down. Now, you need that drive, that discipline to say, okay, now how do I get better?
But that's not ego, though.
What's is that? Ego. Because I can tell you one thing. Next time I sparred that guy, I put a big beating on him.
Okay,
I put a big
so
beating.
then I have
and
a
it
question.
was because I was like, the fact that he got one up on me makes me want to die, right? Because I know I'm better than you.
Okay, so can I ask you a question then?
Mhm.
What's the difference between ego and motivation?
There's a difference, but they're you know.
See, I don't
Oh,
think so.
you don't think ego can motivate you?
It can, but I'm
Okay.
saying what's the inherent difference? Like, how do you? So ego can be a motivator, but where's the line between motivation and the ego kicking in?
When you start to see I'll go back to my example, boxing, right? You fail again, you have two things that you can do. You can keep doing what you're doing and keep failing, or you can reevaluate what you're doing. What you're doing doesn't just mean how you're fighting. It means how you're approaching every fight, how you're approaching your training. Do you think that you're too good for everyone at the gym, and that's why you don't listen to anyone? Actually, that takes me to I've been helping out with sparring classes for like high level boxers at my gym. Some of them are better than me. I'm not gonna lie. But I feel extremely they don't respect me, right? I'm young. Some of them know that they're better than me. When I give tips, they don't listen. Some of them give me like weird looks, you know? What is that? That's ego. And that's ego being misused. Okay, you're better than me. You can apply XYZ better than me. You're faster than me. How do you know I don't know more than you? Right?
Okay, but that's not.
That's bad ego. There's a line
I think
in
there's
which
good ego.
Okay.
a good ego is losing that spar. I come to you, I tell you XYZ, you need to fix this, you need to get better. Next thing you know, they're working on that. They come into the next spar, they've done that because they used their ego. That I can't believe that just happened to me. Watch what I'm about to do now.
Wait, let me give you a question.
Okay,
No,
but
they
Let me give you a
listen.
question.
wait, ask.
You know Ronaldo?
Yeah.
Cristiano. Do you think he has an ego or not?
Well,
You think he has a big
superstar.
ego?
I think he has an ego, yeah.
Okay.
But,
Do you
but
think-
I don't
do you
know
think
him
he is-
personally, so I.
Okay, no, but when you see him speaking, when it's like, in my head, I'm always the best player in the world. Do you think that comes from ego?
See how much he cries when he loses a game? That's
But
pride.
how
That's
much
ego.
is okay? So to me, and that's like to me and how I interpret these things. Oh, careful! I don't think that's ego. I
That's
think
ego,
there's a difference.
100%.
There's a certain number of emotions, or not emotions, like of characteristics that happen: passion, motivation, care, right? Discipline, and all of those are not exclusive to the ego. So just because, so like your example with the boxing, I don't think that because I motivated myself, because I've got put down by this person, I motivated myself, I put a target, I said, okay, I'm going to work hard. The fact that you've humbled yourself and you have shown yourself your weaknesses, I think that's you taking away your ego. That's not you using your ego. You've
Yeah.
stripped it, right?
And a person with a healthy ego knows when to put it to the side.
Hold on. So you've stripped it. From there, I think the ego, like an ego response would be, oh, I'm better than him, whatever. I'm not gonna know my weakness. I'm just gonna go back. I'm a macho man. I'm gonna walk in this fight and win. A non-ego motivation response would be like, okay, I know I made a mistake in X, Y, Z. I have to correct it. I have to work on this. I have to practice it. And then from there, I'm gonna set a target. I'm gonna say, okay, the same fight that I lost, I wanna beat that milestone, right? So I wanna go back and win this fight because I don't feel easy knowing that I can give more and I haven't given it, right?
That's your
No,
pride.
I know that I can give more. Hold on. So I'm motivating myself. That's not the ego. That's the motivation, right? I'm not saying, oh, I'm better than this guy, so F him, so whatever, so I'm just going to go in and I'm going to win this fight and I'm not weak and I don't have an issue. No, I know I have an issue. I fix my issue. I walk in, I set my target. I said my target is, by this time, I'm going to go again. I'm going to take my rematch and I'm going to do my best to beat this guy. I go and I train and I discipline. I work hard. I'm passionate. I care, right? I go and I win. I feel rewarded for my hard work, but if I lose, yeah, like you said, like with Ronaldo cries if he loses a game or whatever because he's passionate.
But you know, Ronaldo's always talking about when they ask him who's the best player in the world, he's like, in my head, I'm always the best.
But do you see,
you
for
should always
example,
think like that. Do you think that comes from ego or?
but in,
Where do
Ronaldo,
you think that comes
in
from?
Ronaldo's case,
Yeah.
Ronaldo is one of the two best players.
But is
So
he
in
the best
his mind-
in history?
Mbappe in an interview was like, when I have a one-on-one, my only option is to think, I'm a killer, I'm way better than you, I'm going to put this in the net.
Yeah, where do you think that comes from? Do you think that comes from ego or?
I think
Where do you
that
think that
I
comes
think
from?
that personally, for me,
Yeah.
I think it comes from motivation. Because here's why.
Oh.
And here's why. And this is and I could be wrong on this, but I think this is my understanding, right? Like, if I'm in this situation, it's like a sports situation or it's like a boxing situation, a football type of thing. where I'm in a like a fight or flight type of deal. So I'm in front of a defender. I have to do something. Somehow, somewhere, I have to tell myself something to get myself over the edge. That's actually, as I say that, I'm changing my mind. I think it's ego, right?
Yeah,
because you know how I said earlier about
no,
no, that's fine. I'll admit it. Like I'll admit it. I don't have an issue.
I win, you lose.
I won too.
But you guys see, but like, so you know how I told you I think ego is like a primal thing that we had from like caveman days to help us survive, to have that mindset.
Yeah.
And that fight or flight situation, yeah, I'll be like, yeah, I'm better than you, whatever. So you use it there to survive in that moment, to do your best in that moment. But then once I leave that moment, I'll go back and analyze that attack. I'll be like, okay, I'm Mbappe or whatever. So now I wanna know how I did objectively in that attack. Did I use this move, this dribble move, or take him to the side, or whatever? Was that the right thing to do? Did I ball end up?
So what are
in
you
that?
saying that is? What are you saying that is?
That is reflection.
Ego doesn't inhibit constructive criticism. Ego doesn't inhibit reflection and evaluation.
Yeah, it depends on how you use your ego.
Again, if it is used correctly,
Yeah.
ego will drive you to evaluate. It will make sure that the next time you're out there, you're not making the mistakes that you made in the last time. Having no ego is like if Ernest knocks me out tonight, and I'm like, you know what, I don't even want to fight him again. He knocked me out. He won. Fair play.
Yeah, he's better than me.
That's no ego. He's better than me, right? But I know for a fact if Ernest knocks me out, wallahi, the next day I'm showing up at his house. I'm not leaving him until he's on the floor, right?
Yeah, that won't happen, but you know. Good
Like
luck.
no, like hypothetically, like I can't look at him. He's so big.
No, look. Okay, so you guys are watching the same thing that I'm
Look,
watching.
Zay,
No,
you've seen cases of two players where they're like, oh, this guy could have been great, but he just didn't have the same drive as Ronaldo.
but drive is not equal to ego.
No,
Bro.
what do you mean? No, drive comes from ego.
No, it
like
doesn't.
the fact that Ronaldo is like, I want to be the best player from when he started training, and this guy's like, oh, I just want to have fun, just because he's a more humble player than Ronaldo. In Ronaldo's case, his ego helped him go right to the top, and just because this guy was much more humble and just wanted to have fun.
But do you see like drive,
Yeah.
discipline, drive,
through deep Arab podcast.
drive, discipline, and ambition
Yeah.
don't equate to the ego, bro.
I think ambition comes from ego, though.
Maybe for you.
I
For
think
everyone.
your experience,
For everyone.
Zayd,
I can give you
redefining-
For everyone.
I think in my experience and in a lot
If
of
you look
people's
at,
experience,
let's say
if
Hussein's
you
ambition is to, what did you say your ambition was?
Like my
Let's say
dream right now?
Hussein's ambition is just to have like a farm and get the thingy, a Honda Civic. And let's say
Yo,
your
I
ambition
really want a
is
Honda
to have a
Civic.
big
Blue
house.
Honda Civic Sport. Anyways.
Okay, yeah. Your ambition is to have a big house and a Ferrari. What do you think causes the difference in your ambitions?
your
Is it that
target.
ego?
No, in my opinion,
No,
in my opinion, it's the
no, I
target.
disagree.
That's
I
100%
disagree.
Look,
ego.
materialistic. The issue of being materialistic is a whole other side thing you could dive into. Why people are that way. But if you're talking about achieving a certain status in your life,
Yeah.
brother, that comes from my drive. If I'm driven, this keyword, I'm driven, right, to do something, it doesn't mean I have an ego about it. I
No,
know,
but if someone
for example,
has a bigger goal than you.
But do you see, for example, let's say I take a salary right now of $30K.
Okay.
A year, right? My salary is $30K. It's a very humble salary, right?
Yeah.
Like it's nothing to. I'm not gonna go boasting about it.
Exactly.
But
let's say you're content with that.
no, hold on.
Okay.
But let's say let's take two scenarios. I'm content, like you said, and I want more. Say I want to target.
Because you think you're good enough to have more.
So
Exactly,
no,
yeah.
but you don't know how I think. I'm explaining to you how I think. I don't think like that, right? When I target more, it's not because I think I'm such a big man or whatever. How can I be making 30, right? I'm thinking, okay, I'm in this position right now. Life has put me in this position where I'm making 30, right? I have a target. I'm driven. I want a better life for myself. I don't think that comes from ego if I want a better life for myself. I want comfort in my life a little bit, right? I want to be able to enjoy myself, to be able to enjoy my hard work. I don't think that comes from ego, right? That comes from drive. I say, okay, I'm going to put a target. I want to make 100K within 10 years or something, right? That's like a target that I've set. I said, okay, I'm going to do this. Because
But weren't you content with the 30K though?
it's not enough. Brother, I want to be comfortable. It's not about ego, bro. It's not about, I don't want to go to Hussein or go to you and be like,
Okay.
I make more money than you. No, I just want to be comfortable in a situation that's good for me, right? In a way, for example, I have a family down the line, I can provide for them and my kids can have a good life,
Okay,
right?
let's say you're content with
No,
100K.
No, hold on. So if I'm targeting that, I'm just motivated, bro. I'm motivated, and this is where religion comes in. And I think like Islam and Ernest is Christian as well. Christianity have a lot of opinions on ego and pride that they connote them negatively, because you have to make sure that your intention in life comes from humble sources. So you do things for God. So I do this because I'm asking God's help to make me more comfortable, right? To make me more comfortable in my life, to allow me to provide for my family or my friends or my brothers or whatever, right? That's not me asking for, oh, I'm a big man, how can I be making 30K? I want to go to Hussein who's making 80K when I have 100 and actually flex on him. No, that's not how it is. I want to make myself comfortable from my life. That's my perspective. I don't think motivation always comes from ego. If you want to improve your status, you can be motivated, you can be driven, you can be disciplined in your execution. I don't think that comes from ego, brother.
What do you think causes two people who grew up probably in the same kind of like household? What do you think causes one person to have much bigger goals than the other?
A lot of different factors, bro.
You don't think ego? You don't think ego is involved?
I'll tell you one thing.
It can be.
About me and Zayd.
It can be. It can be.
That's my point.
That's why you have to be intentional.
Here's something about me and Zayd that only just changed recently, actually. It's much more like internal for me. Zayd has nothing to do with it. But I have been like okay with the fact that okay, like in life, Zayd is gonna make like way more money than me. He's gonna be way more successful. Inshallah.
You don't know that. No, you don't know that.
Obviously, but that's my mindset. My old
No,
mindset.
I want you to be more successful.
Okay, can I please finish my story, man?
My bad.
It's not an argument, eh?
I don't want to
Okay.
let you just say that.
Okay. Anyways, it's like yeah, Zayd is like academically the golden child. He gets the high grades. He's always reliable when it comes to
I don't get high grades
exams
anymore.
That's where the ego
anymore.
comes
But
from.
like my parents have never worried about him failing, right? Whereas me, I have failed many times, many times, and I come to the conclusion actually right now, my setup for the next couple of years, I'm going to be working a very humble job, earning a very humble salary, not making enough to consider myself financially comfortable, right? Whereas, inshallah, ya Rabbi, bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Zayd will get an office job because he went the conventional route. He'll get an office job with a fixed salary. My salary is based on how many clients I bring in. I could bring in 0 and earn 0. Zayd, he's going to come into his office, he's going to do his work, inshallah, he's going to get his money, right? And for my whole life, I was like, I know I'm going to go down the unconventional route. I'm not even going to try to match Zayd in terms of making my parents proud with how his job and how much he works and all of that. That was me accepting you have no ego in this situation. You are somebody who is content with the fact that you will not be extremely financially successful. Alhamdulillah, I think differently now. I have much higher ambitions and I've been working very hard to reach them. But why? Because I realized when I finally started being a hard worker, which was quite recent actually, I realized, holy, like I'm doing so much. I can achieve so much more than that ceiling I put for myself because of me thinking I'm not good enough, right? And not to say that I'm competing with Zayd. Ya Rab, Zayd earns inshallah way more than me. I don't care.
Now it's the same for you.
But it's like Zayd or not, if I earn X, I know that I can push it to earn X times 10, right? I know now how hard I've been working. I know how intelligent I am really versus how I used to think of myself. And I know if I keep working at this trajectory, I'm going to get exactly what I want. And what I want has become so much greater than what I wanted before. Why? Because my ego has driven me to think this. I'm like, you know what? Like these people that are staying in the same spot, not leveling up, working the same job, earning the same salary, not even trying to get above the level that they're at. Why should I live a life like that? Rather than I want to go here. Get to the highest level here and then go there. And get to the highest level there and go there. Why? Because I think I'm good enough. What is that? That's ego.
Yeah, that's a healthy
Ernest,
ego.
What's your take? I want you to tell me what your take on that is.
I think that's exactly what a healthy ego is. Like to help you in your own personal growth. Mm-hmm. And an unhealthy ego will prevent you from growing.
Let me know exactly where you feel the ego was involved in his process.
In his long process.
And what he just described. Where was the ego?
In the drive that you just mentioned.
Yeah?
Yeah, the drive.
Do you want to expand on that?
You told a long story, eh?
Bro, okay, then hold on a second. Let me give a huge shout out to someone who really deserves it.
Before we give the shout out, let me finish this point. Before your shout, wallah, the shout outs come. Wallah, the shout outs come.
Okay. Sorry.
The shout out is
okay. No, you know in gym.
Okay.
You know in gym.
No. Because I want to comment on his example. So talk about his example. I want your perspective.
Yeah, say his example is long.
Okay.
I wasn't ambitious. Now I'm ambitious.
Now you're ambitious. Yeah, that's just it. Simple as that. You know, like his ambition is coming from his ego, and his ego is driving him to be much better than he had targeted to be.
I'm competing. I'm not competing with person X or person Y. I'm competing with myself. Now I know the person I was last year, wallahi, I was such a bum. Right? Look at me 1 year later. Imagine me a year later from today. Right? And I'm not saying that I will do everything. I'm saying inshallah, right? Inshallah, if I keep working at this trajectory, why shouldn't I keep progressing, keep improving? I'm good enough.
Can I give my 2 cents?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I want 4 cents.
I actually think I think what you're doing is pretty healthy, right? And I think your ego is acting differently in this situation than you perceive it to be. And that's my opinion. I could be wrong, right?
How do you think it's acting?
So I think, you know how you described earlier that about like, oh, I knew I was never going to compete with Zaid, and I knew I was never going to be like academically in the same kind of, hold on.
Keep going.
Are we going to have a transformation?
I'm a little warm. Continue.
Okay, you want to take off your glasses too?
No, my eyes are dead. Continue.
Okay. So I think like your mindset earlier on in your life that you didn't want to compete with me in academics, or like you saw it as a competition. You saw, okay, Mama and Baba never had to worry about Zaid failing, but they worry about me because I'm not good enough or whatever, right? I think that was your ego getting hurt and humbled at that time. Not humbled, but hurt, right? At that time because of the external factors around you, right? And I think
I was very content with the fact I was like, yeah, Sen, you're stupid. Who cares?
No,
you're just an idiot.
And this is where I disagree with you, because I think so on a subconscious level, right? Just from knowing you as your brother, I think on a subconscious level, you will always hurt by it, right? And I think your way of dealing, hold on,
down,
this is my opinion, right? And I think your way of dealing with it was to give yourself self-deprecating humor. You always made jokes about how I'm stupid, right? That was your ego's way of just kind of not facing the fact that you've been hurt externally by these circumstances. You push it off as a joke. You laugh about it. And then you dismiss it as if it were normal. When you really decided to actually become ambitious and take your matters into your own hands, and when you learned that life is not conventional, that you don't have to go the conventional road, I feel like that's when you stepped into your own and you found a pathway that allowed you to be motivated and ambitious, and allowed you to be the person that you wanted to be or aspired to be or thought that you could be one day. And I think that's very healthy. I don't think that's your ego. I think
you don't think his ego is involved at all in that?
I don't, like, from an external perspective, what he's describing,
honest,
and then people can feel free to comment. I could be wrong, like Allahu A'lam, but
you're wrong.
I think that what you're doing with yourself now in terms of how you're going about your goals, how you're building upon yourself, and how you're acknowledging, you said something really important. You're competing with yourself. You're not looking at me anymore. You're competing with yourself. And that's huge, because that shows that your ego is no longer involved. I don't care what Zaid makes, right? I don't care what Zaid does in his life. I don't care what Ernest does in his life, what Mushmush does in his life.
But
I'm doing me, and I'm just going to try my best to work on everything. And you understand, like you just said, that it might not come.
To speak.
Oh, yeah, I'll give you 1 second. You went for 5 minutes. Give me 1 second. Right? And you understand that it might not come. Right? You have that understanding that I'm gonna work my best to be in the best position that I have next year.
Yeah.
But you understand that might not come.
Yeah.
I think you used to have a wounded ego. Your ego was wounded, and I think this ambition, this motivation, is your way of patching it up and being driven and motivated. And by only competing with yourself, I don't think you have an ego about things, and that's my opinion.
I think it's a matter of, first of all, I do think you're wrong. It's more of a matter of like I gave up on myself really early. In the sense that, like, I grew up thinking I was handicapped. Wallah, I grew up thinking I was handicapped. I told my parents a lot of times.
Mentally or physically?
Mentally. I told my parents a lot of times, I know the day I turn 18, you're going to tell me, hey, Hussein, you have this and this and this wrong with you. Alhamdulillah, I don't think, I think I have, like, a few, like, ADHD, you know,
like
I'm a very slow,
like,
undiagnosed things, but, like, academic learning disabilities, right? And for me, I used to think that academic learning and academic success is the only kind of success there is. That is called ignorance. But because of the ignorance, I put my ego to the side, I destroyed my ego, and I decided I will be nothing. That's it. You know? Even though, like, alhamdulillah, my support system was amazing. Like, my parents are, like, they believe in me a lot. My dad is always like, I said, I have no doubt you're going to be...
Your mom, too.
Number one. Yeah, mama as well, obviously, 100%. But it's like... I'm always like, yeah, you think so, but I'm kind of stupid. You know.
But like, don't you
Wait,
see?
what do you think is the difference between pride and ego?
I think they intertwine very heavily.
Like,
Yeah,
the same thing?
100%.
Same
Not
thing?
the same thing, but I think they intertwine. I think pride is like taking something
Yeah.
about yourself, just to talk about, for example, I'm proud that. Take the misogynistic example.
Yeah.
I'm proud that I'm a man.
Okay.
That's really misogynistic.
So you don't think there's any benefits that come from pride and ego?
Your own religion tells you there isn't.
No,
Or
no.
like-
In the Bible, Proverbs talks about there's two kinds of pride,
Okay.
and the one God hates is the one that comes out of like self-righteousness.
So what's the kind of pride that God likes then?
If it comes out, if you have an achievement, a great achievement that you're proud of, it's okay to be proud
Of course.
of a
Let
big
me ask you
achievement
a
that you've
question.
made.
But
So is
okay.
that bad, or
Huh?
would that be bad if you're proud of? Let's say you graduated. I'm
Yeah.
proud that I graduated.
No, I'm proud that I
Is that bad?
graduated. But okay, so here's the thing.
That's pride, though.
So that to that level, you can be proud of yourself that you graduated. Your people can be proud of you.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, I think if you're like
Oh, I'm a
so
graduate.
proud that I'm a graduate, I'm a big man. Look at you, you didn't graduate. I'm
No,
better
no,
than-"
you don't have to
Like,
add that
no,
look
no,
at you.
let
You
me
don't
ask-
have to say
let me
look
ask
at
you a
you.
question.
Just say, oh, I'm a big
but
man.
do you
Actually,
see-
pat yourself on the
don't
back.
you see that's fine. But as soon as it turns into righteousness, that you think that you're above everybody else, that's where it becomes a
Yeah,
problem.
exactly.
Okay, no,
but
let
you
me-
don't have
let
to
me
think
ask-
you're
hold
better
on,
than
hold on.
everyone. You can just be
Let
like,
me
okay,
ask you
I'm
a
happy I graduated.
Okay, so I have another question. So it ties into, and this is for both of you. I think I'll ask Ernest first, but ties into ego. So do you guys, basically, if I tell you what like the victim mentality is, you guys know what that is, right? Like if you keep making yourself the victim in your own story in your head,
Yeah.
do you think that ties into ego, or having a hurt ego?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you guys think of that? Is that a positive or a negative thing to victimize yourself in your own mind? And what's your take on that? Ernest, why don't we start with you?
Okay. First of all, I don't think I don't know how would a victim mentality come from.
So I'll give you an
ego.
example.
Yeah.
So let's say somebody, for example, does something wrong to you, right?
Okay.
So you sit and like in the objective sense, maybe they're the ones who did something wrong, maybe you didn't do anything.
Okay.
But you keep telling yourself that I'm justified to hate this person. I'm
Okay.
justified to take action against this person or
Yeah.
to vilify them in my mind because I'm the victim. Because I was the victim in this situation.
how does
So
that
I will
come from
carry
ego?
hate. Because your ego becomes wounded. Let's say somebody hurt you and
Okay.
damaged your ego in a way because of the way they hurt you. Maybe
Yeah.
they insulted you in front of a bunch of people, or
Yeah.
some
Oh,
kind
okay,
of
like
action
hits your pride.
that hits your pride,
Yeah,
it hurts
yeah.
your ego.
Yeah.
So you become a victim, like, oh, I'm the victim. They did me wrong. They did me
Yeah.
dirty. So I will justify carrying this hate towards them. What do you
Yeah.
think about that?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, that definitely comes from a wounded ego, that kind of victim mentality that you just described. But I'd say in situations like that, you usually end up harboring like hate, and it stops you from like forgiving, and I guess that's where ego comes in, and and that's where it can be detrimental to like your growth. Like if you keep harboring like hate in your heart, that's when it can it's not good to walk around with hate because it keeps the other person in control. Yeah.
Hassan, what do you think?
It's weird.
Get close to the mic.
I've had a lot of experience with victimizing myself. I do it way too much. It's something I've really been trying to work on with myself. I'll give you an example. I lost a friendship that was very close to me, and in that process, I was like, this person just dropped me like a hot potato and doesn't care about me and never checks on me, and I could be dying and they wouldn't know. If I died, would they even care? If they had plans to go to dinner and then they found out that I died, would they even cancel their plans? And it's just maybe that person had a very valid reason for not for distancing themselves from me. But because I'm so hurt by the situation, I'm like, no, it's their fault. They are bad. They dropped me. They did this. They did that. But it doesn't drive hate.
So what does it drive?
I never felt hate to this person. I just felt sad. I'm sad that this person did that to me. That's it.
Okay, this
But-
might sound really stupid, but does that sadness act as an obstacle preventing you from being happy?
When you're sad, you're not happy.
No, that's why I said it's gonna sound stupid, but I wanted you to get into why that is.
Because you when you victimize yourself, you start to question yourself. So for me, in that situation, I was like, maybe it's because I'm not as good of a person as I thought I was. Maybe let me reevaluate. What did I do wrong in that friendship? Did I insult them? Did I do this? Did I do that? You know what? Maybe I did all of that. Maybe I'm just a bad person. Maybe blah 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 blah. You spiral and then you hate yourself. You don't hate the person, maybe, but you'll hate yourself. All right?
But there's some kind of hate involved there.
Maybe,
Based on
yeah,
that
maybe,
situation.
maybe.
So you don't
And I
think
do
any
agree
good
that
can
it
come
comes
out of
from-
that?
Okay.
Like, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
If you, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but obviously you talked about your weight gain
Yeah.
issues, and I think you talked about how I think a girl roasted you,
Yeah.
and then did that hit your pride or did that wound your ego?
It did.
Okay, then that push you to lose weight?
Here's the
So
thing.
did you think any good came of that?
Here's the thing. Though.
Yeah.
When I lost weight,
Yeah.
I solved one problem, but created another one.
So you did solve a problem. So good came out of that.
A certain good came out of that, yeah. But
Do you know why?
But hold on. But I created another problem, right? Which is, I think, way bigger than weight and way bigger than weight. And this is me as somebody who's like climbed that mountain.
Okay.
So I'm telling you, like after I've put in all the hard work for losing weight, I created a problem that was bigger. And what I did for myself is that because of her comments,
Yeah.
I started hating myself and my body for how I looked. So when I started losing weight, I thought I started loving myself, but really I was just loving the progress, the way that I was feeling. My ego was still wounded. So I conditioned myself that as long as I
So
looked...
that wounded ego drove you to lose the weight.
Yes, but
But
it
it also
never let me love
affected you.
myself, right? I just loved the progress. So as long as I looked good,
Okay.
or like I felt comfortable in my body,
Yeah.
I was happy. But life had tested me after that, because nothing lasts forever, right? So life had tested me after that, where I gained weight after
Okay.
that. And from the moments that I gained weight, I fell right back in that pattern of self-hate and victimization,
Okay.
right? Because I never resolved the problem. I never learned how to really love myself for who I am. I love myself only if I'm a certain way, or if I look a certain way. And that's something that I still struggle with to this day. I spent 7 months in my initial weight loss. 7 months I can take any time and spend 7 months doing something and work towards a goal. But to have that issue of like not being able to love yourself no matter what you try, no matter what you do, you look at yourself in the mirror, and then that complicated even more. So once I lost that weight that I had regained, I couldn't look at myself and love myself anymore again, because I had already seen how my mind had turned on me. So I created a different problem for myself because I never really resolved it. I never really said, okay, I'm working on myself because I want to work on myself. No, I said I'm working on myself because that girl roasted me.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's where it came from.
It was really interesting hearing your guys' perspectives, opinions. I do think it's like such a subjective topic, depending on how you've grown up and how you've led your life and what drives you. Some people are driven by completely different things. Me, I think I'm driven by my ego. Maybe you disagree. So it's always interesting to understand these things.
I think it's something to be mindful of. Like if you're driven by a negative thing, or if you use hate or ego to drive you towards something, you might solve one problem, but you'll create another one.
Yeah.
That might be deeper than the one you're solving, right?
So before anything, I need to give this shout out.
Okay, give this shout out.
So, Rafif, thank you very, very, very much.
I'm debuting mine on the next episode, right?
Yeah. Anyways, so
Wait, she made
this
those?
is a Through Deep Waters hoodie that Rafif has purchased and designed for us. It even has my initials on it, HK for Hussein.
Mine
the
has
Kashif hater.
ZK.
Zaid has ZK
I
for
use a
Zaid.
sniper one.
Crap.
Anyways, so we're doing a tag team real quick because Hussein is obviously running on low energy, right? Low
Guys,
vitamins.
I'm sorry. Wallahi, I tried giving you everything that I had, but unfortunately, power is dying.
Okay,
So-
so sit there. At least sit there. Stay seated there, so
Going
we
to
can.
sleep.
No,
bro.
so we can call you.
Don't
to
be a
post for the
fed. Don't be a
thumbnail.
fed. Don't be
So
a
what?
fed.
Well, come
Watch.
pose right now
Don't
for
be
the
a
thumbnail.
fed.
Come.
We'll post for the thumbnail right now then. Okay.
Wait.
Get the hoodie on.
Not on, but. Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Swap
you guys
out.
very much, Ernest.
Tag in.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Merci beaucoup, monsieur.
Good night.
Tag him in. Tag him in.
I know the camera didn't even see it.
Okay.
What's up, losers?
Okay, Mushmush. Did you get it out of your system?
No.
It's another guy with an ego
I've
right
been
here.
bored here for an hour by you
Biggest
guys.
ego here.
It's nowhere near out of my system.
Okay. Mushmush, what's up? What do you think about... Let me ask you something different. What do you think about forgiveness? Get serious with me for a minute, right?
Alright,
Hold on. Forgiveness, if someone does you wrong and they hurt your ego, and now you have a challenge to either forgive them or continue hating them. What do you think about that?
it always depends on the scenario.
Explain.
let's say you're saying someone like hurt my ego. Let's say I'm chilling with my friends. This is just a scenario here. Chilling with my friends, I get in a fight with one of them and he beats the shit out of me. Okay? My ego obviously will be hurt. Because, like, I'm not really that much of a stick. I'm not a stick. I'm not a guy that gets beat the shit out of easily. So my ego will be really hurt. But knowing myself, the next day I will go meet up with that guy and be completely chill.
Okay, but why are you that way? And what if you chose to instead just hate them? Just hate that person. Just be like, oh man, screw him. He hit me. He beat me up.
Yeah, once again, it depends. Because if it's someone like Amir or Saim, shout out Amir and Saim, these two are my best friends. If it's someone like them, then no way I would turn and hate them. But if it's someone I barely know, I'm not going to list names. Not for this. If it's someone I barely know, then maybe my opinion will flip and I'll start to not like them.
Yeah, but like, don't you see, for example, Ernest, what do you think? Do you think even if it's someone that you don't know or someone that you don't really particularly care for?
No, 100%. If it's someone you know and they roast you or do something that like wounds your ego, to definitely be very hard to forgive them. And that will definitely be your ego stopping you from forgiving them. Yeah.
But
what tips did you give us to forgive? How do you
honestly,
put your ego aside?
I'm still struggling with this.
Exactly.
Like you have to just keep. I think turning to God is number one.
Turning to God?
Turning to God is number one.
That's your tip.
Huh?
That's your tip one?
Yeah, just always ask God for the ability to forgive and ask God for, like, and just continue to tell yourself, I forgive them. Even if you don't mean it, one day you'll wake up and mean it. I have a couple of situations in my life where, small situations where someone did something wrong to me and I just held it, right? I just didn't know how to deal with it. I just held it. And to this day, I still continue to struggle with and work on how to let those go. But I think just turning to God, making sure He hears you and He sees what your concerns are, and making sure like that you're aware of it in yourself. So I'm not gonna sit and be like, oh, he hurt me, so I have a right to hate him. Yeah, I'm aware. I understand that this is wrong, right? That's the number one thing. And I think after that, turning to God and then reminding yourself.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you, Ernest? What's your take?
Honestly, I find it very hard to forgive. So that's why I was asking you for tips, you know. And obviously, if you turn to God, obviously for God to forgive you, you need to learn to forgive others. That's what they say in the Bible, at least. I don't know about Islam.
Same.
So yeah, I guess I agree with your point. Unless Mushmush, do you have any other tips other than religion?
Really, you just need to, if it's other than religion, you look at your relationship with this person. Okay, maybe it's a small argument, maybe it's huge, maybe you got in a fight and you beat the shit out of him or he beat the shit out of you. It depends on.
He's on the cuss words. He's on the cuss words.
Okay, sorry. Okay, you in the end you really just have to look at the relationship between you and this person and think, is it really worth it to start hating this person just because of this one day of fighting, this one.
Okay. Can I challenge you in one perspective and you tell me what you think?
Alright, okay, go for it.
So, what if it's not about the relationship? What if it's about you internally and how you perceive the situation? Do you think even if the relationship, you don't care about it ending, if it's worth ending, let's say, don't you think it would be better for you to still forgive in your head?
100%.
Let's see what he says.
Yeah.
If it's like, if the relationship is worth ending, let's say I've known this guy for a month, 2 months. I don't know him well, but like we've hung out, and we get into whatever it is, and it's to a point where it's worth ending this relationship. There's a lot of people that will end the relationship, but there's also a lot of people. This is like a 50.
But let's say you've ended the relationship.
I've ended the relationship.
You've decided. And like, you can either continue to hate them in your head and make yourself a victim and hate them in your head, or you can decide that you still want to forgive them.
See, you use the word victim.
Easy,
no, you should never ever make yourself the victim, ever.
Okay, why is
100%,
that?
yeah.
Because if you make yourself the victim, you're trying to put pity on yourself, and that's not good for your self growth.
Okay,
that's not good for you as a person to grow, to get better, to fix what hurts your ego.
So do you think forgiveness is a big part of how to not do that?
100%.
So
how
would
to
you
do what?
To
like,
not make yourself a victim?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like let's say me and you had a huge argument, a huge fight, whatever. I stopped talking to you, and like I don't talk to you for like 3-4 months. In the end, I will always end up forgiving you, because whatever it is, even if I'm right in this scenario, okay, whatever it is, I will end up forgiving you because it's really not worth it to stay pissed for the rest of my life because of one thing that happened.
I think more than just because of the relationship, but because you don't want to be that person who has that much hate in their head and their heart.
Yeah.
And as well, you don't want to like keep the stuff from the past. You don't want to keep that on you.
Yeah. And if you fail to forgive,
it builds stress. It builds stress.
I think it's also good karma and bad karma.
yeah, also if you fail to forgive, you keep the other person in control. Because if you still haven't forgiven someone after like say 5 years, like you're keeping them in control of your emotions. So it's important to recognize that, although it's not that easy. Like it's easy to talk about it, but it's obviously not that easy to just
It's something
wake
like
up and forgive.
we still struggle with every single day.
Yeah, and ego
right?
is
Like,
involved in that 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Saying like none of us I think have no ego. None of us have a full ego. I think we're all in different levels in our own journeys.
Yeah.
And I think we just we try our best. I think that's the most important thing is you just have to try your best to make sure like aside from the fun and jokes and arguments that we have or whatever,
Yeah.
like to really have an honest look at yourself and ask yourself how much is your ego involved in your daily life.
Yeah,
Right?
100%.
The way you interact with others. Are you okay to admit that you're wrong sometimes? Are you okay to not necessarily be down in front of other people, but to like give up the small petty arguments or the small petty, like
Yeah, the petty
those-
arguments are hard to give up,
yeah, like for a lot of us they're very difficult to give up. Sometimes
especially
I
because
also,
they're not that important as well. You know what I mean?
so you don't have an issue
I don't have
venting
like
it out
if
or
it's
taking
like
time
FIFA,
on that
exactly.
argument.
If it's like FIFA or Jiu-Jitsu, I can argue for 10 days. Like I never let any petty argument go. That's because I don't really think they're that important. Like me being better than you in FIFA, I can argue for 24/7. But if it comes to like the more important issues, like if you're setting goals for the future, like something that's actually very important to you, I think that's when you actually put your ego aside and be like more like self-critical, as I talked about earlier.
I think it's different. Like let's say for example you have
Yeah.
the FIFA argument, we can just argue. But let's
Yeah.
say for example me and you are both competing for a position, and you get that position over me.
Okay?
Now you have that paycheck, you have those benefits, you have that job, right?
Yeah.
That way, that's where I really need to just push aside my ego. I can't
Exactly.
I can't be arguing with you that I was better for the
Exactly.
job
Exactly.
or whatever.
Exactly.
No, like more props to you. I need to give you your props for getting this job and wish you all
Exactly.
the best.
Exactly.
So we can continue being friends without like having a hurt ego about it. That's I
Exactly.
think
Yeah.
so important. I think even if the person is not your friend in those type of situations, you always just have to wish the best, because if God didn't give you certain opportunities and He gave them to other people,
Yeah.
right? Then you should kind of know that He has His own plan for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes we all just need to remind ourselves of that.
Yeah. I agree.
But, yeah. With that being said,
Yeah.
I think it's time to cap off the episode. Ernest and Mushmush, really quick, each of you, when we finish up, we like to ask the guests on the podcast or even just ourselves, what pieces of advice they have for the viewers, right?
Yeah.
So if each of you, we start with Ernest, like based on the whole episode or whatever, what's one piece of advice that you would give to the viewer, just looking directly at the camera
Yeah.
and seeing what you want the viewer to take away from, or the listener to take away from this episode?
I'd say learn to put your ego aside, especially when it comes to trying to recognize what your weaknesses are, because it's really hard to see what your weaknesses are if your ego is involved. So I'd say that's the main piece of advice I'd give to any of the viewers.
And Mushmush?
Definitely. There's two things. One of them I kind of forgot, so I'm going with the second one.
Okay.
Never, and I've said this earlier, like 20 seconds ago, never, ever make yourself the victim. Okay, that's a very simple point, but it will help you so very much.
You can expand if you want.
Okay, because like I said, you make yourself the victim, you put yourself in a place where I don't need to improve, I'm not in the wrong. He came, he attacked me. I don't need to improve. I didn't do anything wrong. That's just it. And like, this is not good. Really. It's very
What do you
wise.
say?
Very wise. I'm a very wise guy.
I think just to add on to those two, I think what's something that's really
That's your ego
important
telling you that.
to tack on.
That's right. That is my
true.
ego.
That's actually very true.
That is very true.
Yeah, it's actually
Yeah.
very
Mushmush, what have you learned from this episode?
You see, no. It's because it's not about ego this time for me. It's just that I'm not saying this because of ego. I'm just the smartest, handsomest, best grammar
Okay.
human on the
But
But
planet.
do you see, like that's another thing.
That's the destructive ego we're talking
There you
about,
go.
Mushmush. Like,
That's-
it's not really good for you.
That's the other thing that I wanted to mention about like if you keep giving the blind eye to your mistakes and your flaws, ultimately you're the only person that's gonna fail.
Yeah,
So
you-
the number one thing that I would say to people is just make sure you always always keep yourself under constant evaluation.
Exactly. Yeah.
So whenever an
Like you
action,
can't grow without it. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
whenever an action happens,
Yeah.
right? Whenever somebody like you do something or you react to somebody in a certain way or you feel a certain emotion of negativity, question it. Is this from my ego? Do I feel bad that that person got that job because my ego is hurt? Do I think I'm better than that person in life because of my ego? Right? Keep putting yourself on that, like, continuously trying to learn to spot the patterns of your ego
Yeah.
and trying to minimize its negatives, right?
Yeah.
And then you could use it to motivate you, but make sure you're motivated for the right reasons, for self-love than for any other reasons.
Yeah.
And you know, just always get rid of your ego, because when your ego goes down, it's like
Yeah, you
cheesy.
can't grow. You
It's
can't grow.
and it's very cheesy to say, but it will just be replaced by love for God, love for yourself, love for the people around you, because you're not trying to big yourself up over them anymore.
Thank
right?
you. Yeah. Just to close and say
Can
thank
I-
you guys for having me
Yeah.
on this.
Okay.
I'm not
Of
the
course.
same guy.
As,
I don't have an ego anymore.
For sure, 100%. No,
As a
it was
man
really
that
good.
speaks
My ego is
firsthand,
gone.
It was really
I think
good.
you're better
It was
than me at
lovely to
FIFA.
have you.
But can I just say one thing before we end off?
Yeah.
I'm gonna make Zayd do this. Check out my TikTok, link in description.
Yeah, okay. We're
Let's
gonna
do
link
one TikTok
Mushmush's
dance. Can we do a
TikTok.
TikTok dance before we go?
Nah,
No, I
stay
don't
sit
like
down.
Savage.
Hold on, sit
I
down.
talk about
You
football.
see Megan
I talk
Thee
about.
Do you want to do it?
Yeah, we can do it like before we go.
You could. I don't dance, but you could.
Oh,
You
don't
could do
dance?
one.
Okay.
You could do one.
Then I won't do it by myself.
Okay, no,
How
that's
about
If you do it, I'll do it.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm not
No,
doing
Let's
it.
so
close.
anyway,
Thank you very
thank
much
you guys
for
so
tuning
much.
in.
Thank
Till
you
next
for
time.
tuning in. Till next time, Ernest. Hopefully, we'll have you back again one
Yes,
day.
sir.
You know,
In
see for
5
another
years.
topic that we could discuss as well. Mush, thank you again for joining us. Hopefully, we'll have you back as well.
Yeah, you'll have me for the 20th.
Mushmush.
Yeah.
And you know
What's
that.
your
And
official
with-
name? Official name, please.
Muhammad Saleh, also known as Muhammad Kashif al-Ghata, also known as
Sir.
Muhammad Fa'iq, also known as Muhammad Ahmed.
Thank you.
And with that being said, thank you very much for tuning in. We out.